Today's headline is a war reminiscence. It says, I have been very much interested in close calls given in the Atlanta Journal, and as a Confederate soldier for 4 years, have been reminded of some close calls through which I passed. After 2 years' service with the 18th Georgia Regiment in the Army in Northern Virginia, I joined the 6th Georgia Cavalry as a private under General Joe Wheeler, the Battle of Chickamauga being my first cavalry engagement. On the battlefield of New Hope Church, I was appointed lieutenant. For this time, a great portion of my service was scouting. While Johnston's army was stretched out in line of battle in front of Kaniwa Mountain for a distance of 20 miles, a portion of Wheeler's cavalry occupied the extreme right wing. My regiment was camped near Latimer's Mills on the Canton Road. Having been raised in Cherokee and Cobb counties, I knew all the country well. I was therefore detailed to take command of a scout of some 10 men and report to my colonel for orders, which were to go around the enemy's left and watch their movements. We went up the Canton Road to McAfee's place, now Bullock's Barn. Turning to the left, we crossed Noonday Creek and came in sight of a considerable force of Federal cavalry. As our orders were to go around their left, we turned back to the Canton Road, thence in the direction of Canton for several miles, taking the road to McConnell's Mills, now Cherokee on Little River. When within a few miles of the mills, I was told by citizens that a scouting party was just ahead of us, said to be riding very fast. Supposing they were on the same business we were, I decided to overtake and join forces with them. On coming in sight of the McConnell's residence, some 200 yards distant, we discovered hitched along the front fence some 30 cavalry horses. We were riding in a gallop and were soon at the fence, less than 100 feet from the house. Just as I reined up my horse, I saw Federal soldiers at the front door. I ordered them to surrender. They opened fire on us from the inside, the back, and underneath the house. The house being considerably above the ground gave them the advantage in position, to say nothing of their being 3-1. At the first fire, I had 1 man killed and 1 wounded, besides receiving a slight wound in my arm. We charged in through the gate, around the house, drove them to the opposite end, some of them seeking shelter in an old outhouse a few yards distant. They were using their carbines and 6-shooters on us for all they were worth. In my squad, we had all muzzle-loading guns except 5 6-shooters, 2 of which were mine. My men, having fired all of their loads, retired to the first position. The enemy followed us, keeping up a constant fire and ordering us to surrender. With my horse's head standing in the front gate, I fired my last 3 shots. My men were all leaving. As I reined my horse out of the gate, my saddle turned, throwing me to the ground. I jumped up hurriedly, started to run across the road, became entangled in my saber, and again fell in the road. Yankee bullets were cutting up the dirt all around me. I lost no time in rising again. I made across the road to an old fence. Here I was partly concealed by small undergrowth, and running along the fence, I came to the top of the hill, where I came in sight of my men, one of whom had caught my horse and was waiting to see what had become of me. All this time the Federals continued firing at me. I did not take time to turn my saddle on top of my horse, but mounted bareback. After riding something like half a mile, I dismounted and adjusted my saddle. We then made our way back to camp, leaving 1 man killed and 1 seriously wounded. I am sure there were over 100 shots fired at me, some of them within 30 feet of me. I considered myself fortunate to escape with a number of holes shot in my clothes and a slight wound. This article was written by J.J. O'Neill, Colonel Lieutenant of the 6th Regiment of the Georgia Cavalry of Wheeler's Corps. This story comes from the great state of Georgia, being reported in the Cherokee Advance of June 12, 1903. Thank you for joining us today. If you want to continue to uncover all of America's lost and forgotten history, then remember before you leave to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and remember to like and comment below. And we will see you next time on Americana Archives.